Welcome to another episode of the Virginia Investor Podcast. Today we have Ray Rivera, entrepreneur, real estate investor, just gets after it, has doing all kinds of cool things, has been a part of over 300 real estate transactions on the investment side of things. I look forward to getting into your story and learning all about you. Ray, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Let's get started with day one. Where were you born? What was childhood like?
Sure, let's start. So, originally born in Brooklyn, New York, little neighborhood called Bushwick. So, Bushwick's adjacent towards a pretty hip area nowadays. It's called what's called Williamsburg, but it's pretty hip. It's been completely revitalized, nice brownstones, close to the water, to the Hudson.
What did your parents do for a living?
Nothing crazy, low income. My dad was injured at a very early age, so we come from low income. Right, living off of disability, food stamps. My mom worked at sweatshops, going into kind of like these old factories you see in Scott's Addition that prior to them being repurposed. So yeah, that's the background.
What was childhood like for you? Like, what are some memories that, are you playing with friends in urban environments? Are you getting into trouble? Are you very focused on academics or are you playing sports? What does that look like?
Yeah, so early childhood in an urban environment is really interesting, right? It's a concrete jungle. It's New York City. You have, 20 plus million people, and especially you're talking about high crime, 90s. So, as a child, I loved going to the park. I played a lot of handball. I played a lot of basketball. Grew up very competitive. Had to learn, even as a big Christian, my uncle was big on learning how to throw a punch and take a punch. He would joke around, Jesus is not coming from the sky to come save you, Ray. So that was the mindset in the family was, you were respectful, but you hold your ground. Yeah. So as a child, that was it. To get out of trouble, my dad put me in a military school from the ages of 6th grade on to 11th grade. And then at 12th grade, I relocated to Charlotte. I wanted something new. I loved what I was doing, but I wanted a different environment. So that was a change of pace.
So what was military school like? Was it just very strict and disciplined?
Yeah, so all of my school teachers were prior military individuals. So, colonels, sergeants, drill instructors, different branches of the armed forces. So it's pretty neat. Fridays we'll go in, kind of like a ROTC, but Fridays come in and your name have to be a 1/4 inch above your breast pocket. Right. And it was just details. I got into music. I played the snares. Before then, I played a Spanish instrument called timbales, which is big in the Puerto Rican culture. So, yeah, that's a little bit of the background.
Were you really, did you enjoy that experience or were you more rebelling against it? What do you...
So you find there's two schools of thoughts, right? There's two extremes. You have the individuals who really lean into it, and then you have the individuals who absolutely hate it, right? And the ones who hate it were unfortunately pretty good friends of mine who all dropped out. And so I always felt a little bit of the loner. I loved it. I loved getting yelled at, as crazy as it is. I loved getting pushed. All of that to me just it pushed you. It pushed you to become a better individual, right? So I remember Saturdays getting up, going to the park, and it was actually a cemetery. And it's okay, we're going to go run. Mm-hmm. And you run a mile, then you come back and do 50 push-ups, and then you go run, then you come back, do 50 sit-ups, then you can run. And it was just you're on the side throwing up, you're not accustomed to this, your body is not acclimated. Running, typically you're running from something you did that you shouldn't have done, especially in New York City. So it was different, and especially because of that environment, everyone else isn't acclimated to that. So you get really comfortable having to kind of be an outcast, if that makes sense, right? So you have to be comfortable in your skin.
Do you think that's how you stayed out of trouble? Because I would imagine that would give you the strength to say no to a lot of things or keep you occupied and away from other distractions.
Yeah, I would say to both things. So the neighborhoods I grew up in had its own little street politics of races, of gangs, different colors. You couldn't go across certain streets, certain types of times of days, of years, et cetera. It's just, it has nuances. But this is one of those things where you do, and it does keep you preoccupied, right? It keeps you preoccupied when it comes to physical training, mental training. You're getting on a boat and you're going out Staten Island and you go camping. You're coming from a concrete jungle where you don't have a yard to all of a sudden you're going out camping and you're what? We're going to go, yeah, you got to go hike down here and that's 2 miles and do a buddy system and good luck. And it's what are we doing?
That's awesome. Yeah.
But then next year you look, it's that time of year and you're looking forward to it. You're like, I actually want to do this again. So it's fun. It's fun.
It's
a lot of fun.
Did you have ambition to go to college after that? And then I'm also wondering, like, did you have any thought to go into the military after that?
Yeah. So I was really gun-ho that I was going to sign up. I wanted to become a Marine. That was my thing. Didn't pursue it only because, and I was in New York City when September 11 happened, right?
Oh, wow.
So like I was in school,
how old were
seeing
you?
the towers.
How old were you? Like what grade were you in?
I was in 6th grade.
6th grade.
Yeah.
And you grew up in New York, and that's when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And then you're in school, likely because of the time frame, you're in school when it actually happens.
Yeah.
What is that day like? What does that look like for you?
It sucks. It's, so the short of it is I look over to one of my colleagues and we're talking, right? We shouldn't have. And I just remember people pacing down the hallway, just running. And your intuition just tells you something is off. You just don't know what it is. And, again, this is an area that's typically pretty high in crime. So you've seen enough things happen to where you know what you're accustomed to and what you're not accustomed to. And then all of a sudden, I remember my teacher turns around, opens door, comes inside, says, I probably shouldn't be disclosing this, but if we only have minutes to be here with one another, we just got attacked on American land and just looked out the window. And I think, everyone is so in tune to their day. No one's looking out the window. We look out the window and there we see the Twin Towers and they're up in smoke. Yeah. And, talk about literacy. We're asking, what are those towers, right? What purpose do they serve? Yeah. And then I remember my parents had to come. They closed out the schools. My parents had to come pick us up. I think, unfortunately, that was the first time I probably had like an episode just because, it's a dark place to be in. Not having a place to be able to retreat to. Right. They closed the borders. I think a lot of people who had the luxuries to leave the city and the state did. We didn't. So we're in the middle of the epicenter of what happened with no actual insider knowledge of what to anticipate, right? So I always say, I think kind of put this back into like an investment podcast. I kind of tell myself when I'm in the lowest of the lows is that's real trauma. This is just numbers.
100%.
Right? Like this is just an Excel spreadsheet with a bank account that we give definition. That's real.
Right.
Like bridges closed, bays closed. Yeah, it's an experience.
Yeah, it's perception, right? And that's why I like talking about stuff like this because I know it's an investment podcast, but we can learn from other people's experiences and what they've been through, right? And so I love talking about this stuff as dark as some of it may be because you look at the spreadsheet and you freak out and you're like, all this, my life is falling apart. Man, we're blessed to be able to look at that spreadsheet, right? Like we're blessed to be in a position to play this game. But that's the perception we need to have you need to be smart with your numbers and all that. I'm not saying that, but like we get to learn what, like that perception keeps you in check. Basically.
Absolutely.
Like
it gives you perspective and it keeps you grounded. I think that, when things get tough, you look back at when has there been another experience that has had to push, the ugly in me, the demons, right. Or I like to say, hey, I've been eye to eye with the devil. And when you're at the lowest of your lows, which in investments, right, you had a great one, you hit a home run, you're in the highest of the highs, and then you're getting one after the other. And especially like during the COVID days, right, like you can't move tenants, things are taking longer than what you anticipated. Permits are taking longer, special use permits that are 5-6 months or 10+ months. Yeah, it was a thick of it.
Yeah.
Fun times.
And now because you've been through some challenges in life, like that gives you perception of how to deal with these things. And you can overcome them a little bit easier because you have had some negative experiences or dark experiences and things like that. We clearly would not wish another 9/11 on anyone to give perception. But the idea is like, ideally, we want everyone to have a wonderful life.
Absolutely.
But you need to, in my opinion, people need to insert bits of challenges and pain on themselves, ideally, like voluntary suffering to get that perception versus like actually suffering and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I used to, when I was big and working out, I remember that I would also kind of put this into perspective of almost a squat, right? You kind of put yourself in the bottom, in the hole, and then you have to push back, right? And there's only one way up.
Right. We talked about 9/11, but you were mentioning that you were considering being a Marine, and we asked, did you have military influence or college? You considered being a Marine, but then what changed and caused the relocation? Okay. All right. Yeah, pointing to the ring on your finger. Got it.
So my wife and I met when we were, 12, 13. I'm now turning 36 to give you perspective. So we've been together for 20 plus years. We were dating long distance. The wild card is I was talking to someone that I never thought I was going to meet. And I think that was the reason why I was so open and transparent with this individual, because life was rough, right? And so you're sharing all these experiences, your realities, and she's sharing her experiences and realities of living in the West End of Richmond. And I thought that one day I would just log off and that would be done. And, well, joke's on me because now we have 3 kids.
Yeah, awesome.
We're married.
Yeah.
And so what kept me out of actually enlisting is I chose, and this is what I did, is I told her, I said, I'll give it a year in Virginia. I'm going to try it out. If things go good, which they didn't, mind you, I'm going to stick it out, right? And so what I ended up doing was, I'll never forget, graduated high school, turned 18 years old, and I made a decision. I was going to move. I didn't tell my family or anyone. I just told them, hey, I need you to take me to the bus stop. And they were like, why? I said, I'm going to Virginia. They were like, oh, you're going to go visit your crazy girlfriend? And I laughed. I said, yeah. They said, when are you coming back? And this is my aunt, because my parents are still in New York City. And I said, well, if all things go well, God willing, I'll never be back. Of course, that created this call to one another and, a scene. And my rebellious cousin goes, I gotcha. I'll take you.
Yeah, hooked you up.
So, yeah, very reluctantly, my aunt comes with us. I had found a spot off of Craigslist, if you remember Craigslist. Didn't know if it was genuine. I didn't really think about scams back in the I'm naive at that age, right? Coming from New York, riding a bicycle, telling my mom I'm down the street when I'm in an entire other borough. Like, this is the world I lived in. And so, prepaid 1 month's deposit, paid my first month, and he said, hey, this is going to be a guy. He's your roommate. He's going to open the door. His name is Alex. Knock on the door. He'll give you a key. Great. I didn't know where I was going. I had never researched Richmond. Didn't really care because, in my perspective, I'm a young guy, 18 at the time, decently built. And secondly, I really come from a rough area. It can't get any worse than this. Right. So my mindset was, it only gets better from here.
That is interesting. So you have no job lined up.
Good question. I had interviewed at the time with this one employer, and they said yes. And it sounded great, but I told them I needed 2 months to prepare to relocate. They call me next week, and they say, the following week after the interview, and they say, I need you to relocate. I said, when? They go, beginning next week. I said, I can't. They said, then you lose a job.
Wow.
That was also one of those motivating reasons for the relocation pretty quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're in Virginia. What do you do when you get here?
Maintenance.
Clean
toilets. I was working at Nordstrom's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was working overnight. I'm clocking in at 9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night.
After they close, right?
After they close. And I'm the guy who has to keep the place clean. So I'm learning how to wax floors. Yeah. I'm learning how to clean toilets properly, how to wax, railings. And at one time, I told my supervisor, man, I thought I was hired for maintenance, not housekeeping. At least put me to change light bulbs. And the very next day, they had boxes of light bulbs for me to replace.
Yeah.
And I took that so...
Took it so seriously. You're like, I got this.
Well, I was insulted, and I did take it seriously, but I was so insulted. Yeah. I was like, oh, you guys like to be petty.
That's awesome. That's great.
I stuck it out for a little bit, but it sucked because, of course, I was living off Staples Mill at the time, which, come and find out is a decent area.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to drive. So I was relying on my girlfriend to come pick me up, drop me off. I was that loser beat boyfriend who just like...
And you're 18 right now, roughly, right?
Yeah.
17, 18.
So in my heyday, right, the days I'm supposed to be exploring and doing all of these great things, I'm cleaning toilets, don't have a circle, right? Don't have anyone.
Right.
And I'm completely, utterly relying my entire livelihood on this one individual.
Right.
It sucked.
What did she do for a living?
She was a salesperson at Nordstrom.
Oh, okay.
And she did well. She did very well.
Yeah.
And so it was oil and water with the family, right? They loved me. But it's different.
Did you ever see her? Because she's working when it's open and you're working when it's closed.
It sucked. I would have to sleep in a hot car until she took break, till she took me home. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what are your ambitions? Your ambitions right now sound like just pay the bills and like just figure it out, right? But did you have any further ambition? Like have you ever heard about like financial investments or like financial freedom, or were you like, okay, let me get another job and just continue to work up the ladder at this point of your life? Like what was your thought process when it comes to money and investing or anything like that?
I loved money. I don't love money. I love what it'll do for you. With that being said, yes, my neighborhood was purchased up by a group of investors who would collaborate. They would pool capital together, and they literally bought one by one the neighborhood, right? And then they've revitalized it. So
is
now,
your neighborhood in New York?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if you go to Bushwick, New York, you Google it right now, you'll see that redone 2-story, 3-story buildings are $2-3 million, right? Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, and no shade on him. Love my dad. We lived a safe life, right? But what I knew then is that a safe life wasn't good enough for me, for my kids. Because you have two options. You have the option of being a byproduct of whatever the world gives you, or you can be a byproduct of your decisions, right? And it sucks because for me, I learned by doing, which comes with its vast amount of mistakes, but I knew I didn't want to be a byproduct of whatever the environment gave me. What that allowed us, so an example of this is my father was approached several times to buy the building we resided in because he looked after the owner or the property on behalf of the owner, the landlord, right? In New York, this is common. We call it a supervisor. Mm-hmm. Well, that building at one time, they presented it for $50,000, then eventually $100,000, and it ended up getting sold to investors for $400,000. That investor ended up eventually taking advantage of the people there, and they were part of this mass lawsuit that was happening. Inspectors were getting paid to do things that were not proper legal things, and fast forward, he ended up selling it for $1.1 million.
Wow.
And it got torn down, right? And this was the first time, and I'll never forget that. I knew it happened. I had already relocated by then. And I remember driving up, and this is a neighborhood, or the hood, where we all had Puerto Rican flags, and we had the guys playing dominoes in the corner. It's like, what are you seeing in the movies? That was my reality. And I would say we were poor, but we had culture. We had a support system. Even though it's kind of an interesting way, you have support. And so to me, when I went back and I saw the building torn down and it's a new modern facade, everything is new, then and there to me, that chapter closed, a part of me died, and I accepted the reality of this is the world, right? Mm-hmm. And so now as an investor, I look at it and I always talk to individuals that, look, you can't stop it, right? You could jump in it. You could jump in and you can take control of your livelihood and your kids' livelihood. Or you can try to stop it, but it's not going to be stopped. It's a machine that's just too big, right? So yeah, it's very different. But that experience was what introduced me to investments. And it introduced me to having to capitalize. And it also introduced me to later on what I learned is called opportunity cost, right? So yeah, at an early age too.
So when you're cleaning toilets at Nordstrom or eventually changing light bulbs that you've promoted yourself to doing, are you thinking about how do you start investing? Are you thinking about things like that? Or are you just not really in that phase yet?
Yeah, I wasn't there yet. Yeah. To me at the time, I just wanted to survive. So eventually I left that job, got another job closer to home, worked, and that's where I met one of my mentors, Mr. Wu. And Mr. Wu's a successful gentleman in the pharmacy world. And he told me, you have 20 to 25 years to make it, Ray. Don't F it up, right? And I didn't really get that. And then one day I show up with a little chihuahua that I bought my dog, and I show my girlfriend, and he's like, oh, you got a chihuahua, great. So that's going to take away from the success you're going to have, right? You're screwing it up. And I was like, excuse me? Right? And I appreciated his brashness. So he's from an Asian culture, and he is not a married man, no kids, no ex-wife, none of it, right? Just complete shrewd businessman. Mm-hmm. And that is a side of me that I learned quickly was going to be like a catalyst, right? That individual was going to be a conduit to my success. He was just a good support system. Hey, let's meet. Hey, let's go get Chipotle. Let's talk. I want to just shoot with you and let's talk, what's life look like. And that was like a mentor.
Okay, so let me stop you here because a lot of people think they need to go out and pay money and they need to buy, do coaching classes, which it's absolutely cool if you do, but there's ways to develop relationships that can be 1,000 times more valuable for the rest of your life and not pay that person money.
Yep.
How did you meet this person? How do you establish it and really like connect that genuine relationship with this person?
So I worked on the retail side. He was the actual lead pharmacist for that pharmacy. And I just worked hard.
Yeah.
Right.
That
I had
goes a
2
long way.
full-time jobs. I was working about 85, 95 plus hours a week. And then I was working in the pharmacy. Well, I was working the retail side of the pharmacy during the day hours, go home, take an hour to 2 hour break. And then I would go roll into Target to deal with their overnight logistics. So unloading 18-wheelers. I was the guy who physically unloaded the 18-wheeler to then put it out on the shelf to then, because of my work ethic and because I wanted the money, my manager would then let me cut up the actual, cardboard, put it away, restock, the whole nine. And that was how I was able to put money together, right? Just 2 jobs. And here was my thought process is I got 20 to 25 years to make it, right? So just like embrace the suck. If I'm going to embrace it, I got year 1, year 2, and next year has to just be better. These were miserable years. They were like the lowest, some of the lowest years where I would have preferred my existing not to be existing. Like it sucked. But you lean into it.
And he saw that. He saw that hard work and he was like, all right, I assume you at some point probably started asking him questions.
Yeah.
And then he probably was like, all right, I'm going to answer these questions because this kid will put in some work.
Yep.
Whereas like that normally doesn't happen. That you might get lucky and be able to talk to these people and they might answer a couple questions for you. But like if they see how hard you work and what type of person you are, when you then go and like show some curiosity of their success or some life advice or financial advice or whatever it may be, that's when they sit down for lunch. That's when they like go out of their way to help you. And then through the questions that you ask, you build a genuine relationship. And it could be a 4-decade age difference, but they feel like your brother or like another father or something like that over time.
Absolutely.
Is that sort of how that relationship sort of played out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still stay in touch to this day. When I got into the sales side of the businesses, then I still stay in touch with him. And he would actually ask me, how are sales? How are things going? Hey, the economy sucks. But what's your business look like?
Right.
And he would give me little tidbits. So one of the things he told me was, look, Ray, men, we either fall into 3 different traps, right? It's going to be money, or it's going to be power, or lust, right? And so find which is your vice and do everything possible to identify it, and don't fall into that.
Right.
So it was like little tidbits like that where he was so brash, so uncensored, but it was because he also wanted me to succeed. But even though he did not have anything financially to gain out of it,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And that to me was like, this person is selfless. He's giving. I can't fail him.
Right.
And it almost gave me more purpose.
It's interesting because I have someone in my life like that who's very much exactly what you're describing. Like he's brash, he holds me accountable, he'll email me, text, or call me randomly and ask how business is going, and I need to answer that like very
yes,
like properly.
Yes.
Like, and then he will ask follow-up questions on why I'm not being successful in some areas, or why, whatever, or congratulate me if things are going well, but like, what's your next step? Like then how are you going to handle this situation? Or are you focused on this? Or if everything's going perfectly, then fine, write out your goals and send them to me by the end of the week. And I'm like, and this guy, like he not making any money from this, like, but he's made his money, had his success, and this is what he enjoys bringing other people along with him. But it started with me showing him that I would put in every ounce of effort and listen to everything that he said and took it seriously and take it to heart and then execute on that. And once he saw I could execute, he continued to pour himself into me.
100%.
And it's one of the biggest blessings I have.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it's wild because I don't know how you met this individual. For me, I just took a job, didn't expect that, right? And the fact that it did was like, this is pretty damn cool.
Right.
But it's also the reason why I can't let those people down.
Oh, that's the craziest part, is like your loyalty to them, and your like, there are people that say like, well, who holds you accountable as a business owner? And like, one, I hold myself pretty accountable, like pretty strongly accountable. Like I'm not slacking, right? Just personally, I'm not going to let myself down. But 2, like, I will never let him down. Like I refuse to do it, right? And so the bond that's created, and like he's invested so much time into your success the last thing you want to do is and he's not
disappoint
a
him.
business partner. He's
Correct.
not like all these different things where we have these legal agreements. It's none of that.
Yep.
But the last thing you want to do is just like you don't want to let your family down, your wife or anything. He's basically on a very close level to that. Is like the last thing I will do is ever disappoint him.
This guy has no kids, right? Like he has no kids because he doesn't want the responsibility of kids. So the fact that this person's pouring into me, like I don't take that lightly.
That's a good point. And it's interesting because I look back at other very critical relationships in my professional career. It's always started with hard work and executing, and then they've noticed,
Yes.
and then they've taken me under
Yes.
their wing. In different capacities, I can think of different industries and different capacities. Someone always has me under their wing, or I'm always under someone's wing at any point in time, or multiple people, because of the hard work and execution first. And they're like, all right, we like this guy. We'll take him in and like help him, give him some advice, and I'll take that all day long.
I think the hard work is the foundational block for everything. I think that's a given. Like you need to put into work, and people recognize that.
Yeah.
And I've seen that being a pattern in all of the businesses I've been in or have done, even when I pivoted into the sales side of being an agent, which to step back, when I did property management, I was crushing when it came to taking applications, tours. That's actually what got me to have a knack on the sales side, which then turned into becoming an agent. And I just enjoyed it, loved it, crushed it, top producer pretty quickly. But by doing these things, it allowed me to have relationships with people and conversations with the people because of the fact that I put in work, right? Yeah. Which I really go back and I reverse engineer. I say, if hard work wasn't implemented, then these relationships and conversations would have never been had.
Yeah, they wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And those people that you want to be your mentor don't hang out in places where hard work doesn't happen.
100%.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Like, take this with a grain of salt, but you're unlikely to meet your very successful business entrepreneur, business owner at a bar, by himself drinking or something. Like, yes, there's networking events,
sure.
and yes, they're at bars. I'm not really.
And there's anomalies, right?
Yeah, well, that's where successful come together to socialize. So that's a little bit different.
Correct.
But like, what I'm saying is like, if you're hanging out in a bar all day, it's unlikely that that's where you're going to meet this person, right? But if you're hanging out in areas where these people exist and where people are successful, or there's hard work present, that's where those people are going to be.
Yeah.
How did you find your way to real estate? I mean, I know you had this experience growing up where you saw this development and these things happen to your neighborhood.
Yep.
How did you, now you mentioned property management. Was that sort of your entry into real estate?
Yeah. So I was doing hospitality. So after cleaning toilets and all that, pivoted, I got into a hospitality role doing front receptionist, right? Taking reservations, but being bilingual, being Latino, I somehow ended up also having to help kind of manage a little bit of housekeeping and being the conduit between the two. And so fast forward, I had asked for the opportunity to go into their sales director position just because I felt like, number one, I had time, I had years, I had worked different shifts, like I knew the ins and outs of this business, or at least that hotel in particular. They declined me, said no, I didn't have enough sales experience. So what do? I'm a bit of a contrarian. I don't like being told no per se. And if you tell me no, but here's why, outside of just no, I'll try to like meet that metric. Fast forward, I ended up getting into car sales, right? Hated it, really toxic environment where I was in particular, but I was good at it, right? And this is shortly thereafter the recession. So we're probably 2011, 2012. And what I'm saying is I moved there in 08, and unbeknownst to me, right? Like this is everyday life. I didn't think anything more of it because this is new to me. Fast forward, when I'm getting into the sales side, I'm working with the same mindset, 80, 90, 100 hours a week. I didn't have a database. So what I would do is I would sit in front of a dealership with a hoodie on, in the rain, in the snow. Like I'm going to outwork everyone here because I have to, right? Number one, I don't have a fallback. I don't have a plan B. Secondly, I'm just going to. So I did okay. But what it really did for me was it taught me enough sales skills of how to talk to people, how to approach people. And if you're willing to like literally run after people to get a sale, like you're gonna figure it out, right? And that same drive and determination, I went back, then applied. Someone had told me about property management and was like, hey, you can get out of being outside, not having to chase people, and this might be a good market, like business to look into. So I got into property management, applied, got hired, especially as I was bilingual, to kind of put me in those CD areas, but I just crushed, right? And I loved the people, I loved the environment, I just wanted to give back. fast forward, unfortunately, I think it was a double-edged sword, because being bilingual also held me back, because I only predominantly worked in the CD properties, because I predominantly handled clientele that they couldn't handle. I tried relocating to Charlotte, North Carolina. Still, it really wasn't, rainbows and butterflies. During my move to North Carolina, Charlotte, I was trying to buy a home. And the agent was a sweet lady. However, she was trying to pitch me on what she wanted me to buy, not what I felt I wanted. And because I had a poor experience, I'll never forget, I said, hey, she looks like she's doing pretty well, drives a nice car. I bet I could do better than her. So my wife looks at me and goes, then why don't you? And that was the beginning of, I'm getting into sales as an agent.
She challenged you. It's like,
it's always been a challenge. My wife has been the one thing that has really pushed me. I mean, even when I was cleaning toilets, I remember I used to look at these GQ magazines. And one day I said to her, man, I would love to buy that. And so if you're local to Richmond, I remember she said, hey, there's this awesome store called Franco's. You need to go check it out. So I left. Of course, I just was cleaning at Nordstrom, wrap up, call out, punch out, leave, go to Franco's, and I'm checking out these clothes, right? Beautiful clothing, very fine. Long story short, this lady tries this jacket on me. I take it off. It's like $1,200.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm making like $8 an hour.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I look at this thing. I'll never forget. I went back to Nordstrom's and I was upset with my wife. And she said, well, of course, my frustration with her was, why would you do that to me? I can't afford that. She said, well, if you don't have goals to aspire to reach, you'll never get to them.
Dang.
Right? So when people ask me, who is that one person? My wife.
Yeah. That's a common thread on this podcast. It's a spouse, if it's a female speaking or a male speaking, but basically the spouse. And I kind of am starting to wonder who the investor really is, because the spouses level up usually the person who's on this podcast, right? Yeah. So you're saying your wife essentially is leveling you up.
100%.
She's challenging you and putting you in a different, and other guests have been the same. It's you think about it, your wife is force appreciating you. And she's she's like, I have invested in you,
yeah,
and you're gonna, create this or at least help create this or level 100%. Up yourself, which is cool. So, and it's interesting you mentioned Franco's, because when I was early on in this business, I didn't have any money. I had really good relationships, fortunately, a really good network that I've worked hard to earn. And there's one gentleman in my network who's a very accomplished attorney. And he's like, yeah, man, I get all my clothes from Franco's. Just go to Franco's, And so I roll. He said, just tell me you know me. And so I go to Franco's. And I walk in, and they're kind of looking at me. I'm wearing what I normally wear, right? It's just not super, fancy. So, and I'm probably, at this point, have been doing tours all day. I'm still in the thick of things, in the day-to-day property management. So I walk in, and one lady was nice enough to come help me, and she said, hey, and I'm like, hey, this attorney, I say his name, sent me here. They all swarm, and they're all like, oh, let's try on this, and let's do this. And I start looking at price tags, and it's $2,000, $3,000 for a jacket. And I'm just politely trying to figure out how to exit.
Yeah.
Because I had no money. And I remember leaving, and I'm like, man, I've never been back since. But it was not a bad experience.
Sure.
But it did, I was like, man, okay, so this attorney shops there, and he's, has been an attorney for 30 years or whatever. And I'm like, I got some growing to do. I'm not quite ready for that yet, but it's interesting. We sort of had a similar experience. At the same store.
Yeah. That's wild. I wonder how many other people have had that.
Yeah. I wonder. That's a good question. I mean, because you walk in there, it's in a shock, especially if it's a referral for you to go there. I'm going there thinking okay, cool. This attorney dresses really nice, and I'm gonna level up my game. But man, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I got to worry about.
Got a few more years to go.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So so entering into real estate through property management, in my opinion, is an incredible way to start, because you see what actually happens after the transaction. And you get to see the investment side of things. You get to see the resident side of things. You get to see the operational side of things. You get to see the numbers behind it and the finances and why they work and why they don't work, what good decisions are, what bad decisions are. It's an awesome way to get in and get paid to learn all of and the town that you work in, the market that you work in, you learn all about it because you're driving everywhere.
Yeah.
When you were in property management, and now you're thinking like you quickly went to the agent side of things too.
3 years.
3 years in property management and then went to agent?
Did 3.5 years in a property management space. And then I pivoted into the agent space, and I was a dual agent for about 6 months. Yeah. And then I hit a threshold where I found myself going to the restaurant too many times to take a call. And eventually my property manager pulls me aside. It's like, it's that time, right? You got to make a decision. Yeah. And we had that conversation, right? She was very open about being okay and supportive about my growth. So it was super kosher about things. Right. So then I made the transition at that time.
Yeah. How was that? Was it scary to make that leap? Because you're essentially leaving behind your compensation and going into a commission role.
Yes and no.
Just confident.
Yeah, because so here's the thing. If you know me from back then, I dressed in a 2-piece suit with shirt, tie. I had a briefcase I used to carry with me. Mm-hmm. Code combination, open. I took my business very seriously. And people would always tell me, especially here in Richmond, Ray, what are you doing? Right? This ain't DC. This is not New York. Like, chill. But I took my business very serious. So the answer was no. And so for the first entire year, it was always suit and tie, because I have to become somebody. I have to outwork you. I don't have a database. I think of everything that's going against me. So I just got to outwork everyone. Right. In addition to literally outworking everyone. And that's what I did. Yeah. And then 2 months into it, it was about 2 months, 2 to 3 months. I had gotten already a couple of sales. Unbeknownst to me, though, I didn't know that new construction properties don't pay you a commission until when they're finally closed. Yeah. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to start going through some of my reserves. And this one team was interviewing an agent who was willing to just run their buyers. And to me, I didn't know this at the time. There's this ego thing in the agent business where people predominantly want to represent sellers. To me, I didn't care. I just want to crush, right? Just put it in front of me. I'm going to go crush. And if the next person says, I'm going to crush you, I will go, great. I'm going to die trying. Like, I'm going to give it every ounce. And so I'm just that competitive. Fast forward. So the first 12 consecutive months, got about 31, 32 sales.
That's incredible.
Did pretty okay. Made the most money I had ever done. Made 3 years worth of income. Then what I'm accustomed to in one single year. And that's when I get hit with taxes.
Oh, yeah. That's a wake-up call. Yeah.
And I'm not married. Becoming high-income earner, no children, no house, and I'm like, WTF. Yeah. And so now I'm getting taught by lessons, taxes. Yeah. And
did you have any in reserves?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, because if you don't know,
I had never been 1099, right?
Yeah.
So previously I was been W-2.
Yeah.
I'm accustomed to being W-2, and no one ever taught me about this. Yeah. And so now I'm learning the hard way.
That's rough.
Yeah. Right? So like so everything I've ever done it's just been through experience. Right. And it's like sucked, just getting punched in the face. Yeah. And every time I feel that way, I tell myself, remember that quote from Mike Tyson, everyone's got a plan so you get punched in the face. Right. He says a little bit more vulgarly. That's literally been life.
Yeah. That's incredible. So because you have this massive victory, and I know the feeling. Like the first year you earn some money, you're like, okay, this is why people talk about taxes now. So now it's all a tax game and stuff like that. So, but yet you still have to continue to run the business and do well. And now you're doing it to pay your taxes. So then you can figure out how to pay taxes next year and you play that whole game. When did you get opened up? Well, let me back up a little bit. 30-something deals in your first year is absolutely incredible. Obviously, you're being humble by saying like you did okay, but that is absolutely incredible. So major props to you. You obviously have something going on to where you can do sales and you can build a network and you can talk to people or you can figure things out, right? How did your door open, or when did the opportunity come for you to jump into investing?
Yeah. So I would say it was probably right around 2000, I think it was 2016, 2018.
Awesome. That's a good time for it.
It was a great time. Great time. I mean, hindsight is 2020, right?
Yeah, do a lot more.
Yeah. Like buy all of it.
Yeah, every single thing.
It's wild. I remember selling some properties. The least expensive, I think, was something like $26,000 in the south side of Richmond. Today, that thing's got to be like $220,000.
Yeah, I remember not buying a house because it was $5,000 more than I wanted to pay.
Today, that's called the earnest money deposit.
I still look at that and I'm like, all right. Well,
so I when I consult clients on the agent side, I consult them accordingly.
Yeah.
This is especially if you're like a new first-time buyer.
Right.
Think of it as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's a stepping stone. Get in, get your feet wet, learn the game, then level up. But if you don't start, you're never going to end.
Yeah. Taking action is.
It just is what it is.
So how were you introduced to it? I mean, again, I know you have some experience to it, and you're in real estate now. You're heavily involved in real estate at this point. But was there a podcast, a book, or anything that really put this in front of you and said, you need to do this?
Yeah, so I by then I had already started serving some clients in the investment space. And because I was so accustomed to taking action, I was taught in the agent side, hey, cold call, door knock. So I was accustomed to hustling. I'll go door knock in the rain. I would just wait for it to then subside, then go back out, door knock again. So I was just so accustomed to just taking action and hustling. Fast forward, so I met this gentleman. He comes out. Eventually, we partner up in a couple of deals. And he had told me that and he's decades older than me. He really wanted to get into the investment space, but he didn't know the agent side. And I was explaining to him, you don't really need to know the agent side, but if you wanted to do so, I'll teach you. So he ends up joining my team. And this was completely unsolicited, unplanned. So we go out and we just go crush for a few months. And he tells me, Ray, we need to go buy a couple properties. So we did. The challenge was, one, I didn't know construction. So I was really fearful of construction because what you don't know is risk, right? Or risky. One of my clients who's a Class A GC tells me, I'll take her to construction. You do the work. Let's see how it works. And this is the first time I get experience with hard money, right?
Okay. Yep.
And so now, new experiences, but my entire life has been just GSD, right? So just get it done. So get it done. We make about $42,000, $44,000. That second flip that we bought, which was a complete hole in the wall down in Colonial Heights, would have been, today I would have been like, no. Or if you're a client, no. I was naive, ignorance is bliss, took it down. We made a little over 60,000. So between these two deals, we had made over 100 grand net. I still had to pay taxes, but it was one of those things where, whoa, that was a quick way to make six figures.
Yep.
We need to do this more. We ended up parting ways, nothing negatively, just had different aspirations. So I kept doing it on my own for a little while. Did that a couple times, came across my current business partner, and that's when we partnered up, and we've never stopped.
So that initial run, was it mostly flips, no rentals or anything like that?
No rentals at all.
Okay, cool. And then what is this quad that you speak of? Talk to us about this lesson that you learned on the quad.
So I'll take a step back. Took down a duplex right around COVID time, did a special use on it, and did really well on it. I'm like, I'm in a multifamily space now. Like, this is legit. So I come across this quad, and because I had such a good win with the duplex, I expected the same, right? And this is the epitome of why you need to stay humble in this business. This quad humbled me. So went into this quad, took it down. I think it was something around 110, 118,000. I said, hey, that's a great win, 4 doors, can't lose. Except my rehab budget was completely underestimated.
How did you come up with it initially? Did you go out there and say, I think it's this much, or did you have a GC walk it, or what?
Yeah, so I had my contractor come out with me. Now, mind you, this is a different contractor who used to work under the first GC I worked with.
Okay.
And so he comes out, know this guy for about 4 years now, about 4 years. Go walk the property, and he tells me, hey, it's going to be $95,000 to rehab this place. And I thought to myself, hey, this is great. I'm going to budget $125 just in case.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. Well, after the first 7 to 10 days, I see that we're eating up about, 10, 15 grand already, and we haven't even moved the needle at all. I still have videos to this day. It's wild. And so I have a talk face-to-face, right? Respectfully, either numbers are completely under what they should be, or you're not the right person, or a combination of the two. Right. So we decided to part ways. I had to let him go, unfortunately. Hired another guy. This guy's like, Ray, I got you. Great. And this is a great client of mine. Fast forward, unbeknownst to me, this person's taking advantage, right, of this opportunity. And so I let my guard down because this person says, you've helped me create hundreds of thousands, if not millions at this point. Let me reciprocate. really what they did was just eat off that opportunity.
So we can learn how were you taking advantage of? Like, what mistake did you make or
Sure.
miss in catching this or recognizing whatever that issue was?
Yeah. So the thing that did me in was sill plates.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're lifting a 2-story, 4-unit building, right? Like if it's a small rancher, 400 square feet, 800 square feet, 1,200 square feet rancher, okay, not too big. It's still costly, but not as bad. When you start talking about multifamily, 2-story, and it's an old building, and all of the sill plates are shot, joists are shot, I'm telling you, foundations will do you in. They
Yeah.
would do you in. And then there was tons of rotted wood, right? So first contractor was actually trying to just hide these things
Okay.
and just put kind of lipstick on it, make it look good. The reality is, if you're going to take this down and do it the right way, you got to do it the right way.
Right.
We got to gut this and then really say what we're working with. And right, it's collateral damage. It's going to hurt.
What did the second contractor do that wasn't ethical?
Yeah, to me, it was just the lies, really. So here's an example. So I kind of started getting a little bit of a feeling, inclination, something is off. So I ended up hiring my own people instead of trusting him to hire people. And I'm a Christian, the way God works. This gentleman shows up to this property and tells me, hey, I think you're a nice guy. I feel like God is speaking to me. I'm going to tell you, I already have a price for you. So this was actually for my installation, right? So I have already done MEPs. But my MEP costs were quite rich, and I'm suspecting something is off. Well, when he does my installation, he tells me I have a price. I said, no, sir. You go do your calculations, take your measurements, call me tomorrow, because I'm not going to play this game of a change order with you.
Right.
He tells me, no, I've already been to this property. Fast forward, he was called by this other person to come out. I was told it was going to be twice as much. And then I find out going direct that is actually not as much, right?
Yeah.
And my thing is this, I've always said, everyone's got to eat, everyone's got to make money.
sure.
But here's the difference. If I say, hey, Steven, let me work with you, I got you. I don't want to make anything on this. I just want to take care of you. Stand by your word, right? Because your word is everything.
Yeah.
So when I found out that wasn't the case, I knew immediately, hey.
Right.
So that budget ended up being $256,000.
Did you have to go to a third contractor? Or
Yeah.
you said you started to hire your
I
own
ended up
people.
just running people
Yeah,
myself.
because at this
Yeah.
point, yeah. And so $260-something thousand. You were using private money for this? Mm-hmm. How did
Hard
that
money.
kind of pan out? Did you have to call your lender and say, hey, look, this is the deal? Like, how did
100%.
you shake all this out?
So my hard money lender said, hey, I'm going to be open to working numbers to the full capacity. And then at that point, Ray, I trust it. You're on your own. And hopefully you make me whole.
Yeah.
I did.
Did the deal end up being a good deal even with the rehab budget? Like, did you have to sell it immediately? Were you able to get out of it? Or did it remain a good rental? Like, what was the result?
Yeah, my partner moved into it.
Okay.
So we were able to get as much money out of it, because otherwise we were going to park too much money. We wouldn't have been able to afford it. It
Interesting.
was too rich.
Would you not have been able to sell it for more, like underwater on it?
We probably could have, but it was almost 2 years, right? At that point, do I want to let go of this property?
Yeah. I understand that. I've on a smaller scale, I had a single family that needed to be gutted, basically and rehabbed, and I got too big for my britches and was like, oh man, I'm the world's best investor. Let's go on my 10th deal, right? And I'm like, let's pop the top and add a second floor and do all this. And so I used the contractor that I used for my previous 10 houses that same year, and he popped the top, but then abandoned.
No.
Yeah, so he basically tore
Did he
down
at least
all
tarp
the
it?
structure. He tarped it.
Thank God.
But the tarp didn't hold up for like. A lot of this fault is on
Sure,
me, right?
sure.
So I'll stop there.
Take
and say,
accountability.
like,
I got you.
Like, I didn't inspect the property at all, because
Sure.
this guy had done 10 houses for. I was like, he's got it.
You trusted him.
So I did not even go like look at it.
Yeah.
But I drove by like 1 week and saw, okay, there's a tarp, and I drove by maybe 2 weeks later and was like, same tarp, like. It's been raining, like what's, and then drive back another, call him. He's like, hey man, I'll be out there tomorrow. All right, cool, good. 2 weeks later, I might check on it again. So anyway, it was like a month or two went by without a roof and just tarps. And so anyway, I go inside and there's
water,
I don't know if
mold.
it's stalactites or mites, but whatever hangs from the ceiling, basically like the drywall is falling in and it's just mold everywhere. And now like it needs to be gutted even more.
Yep.
And like all these different things need
It
to
went
happen.
from bad to worst.
And so he abandoned it, and then his price was like, I don't know, like 40,000, and I should have known then that like you're not going to pop the top for like $40-something thousand, but
You don't know what you don't know.
yeah, and so but I'd already paid him like half of it, And then, so anyway, I hired a new GC whose price was $70,000. So then I had to go.
Was that 70 grand to finish the project?
Yeah. So it was like 70
So you
grand
were
from
in
where
at
it was
90.
at now. Yeah. So I was somewhere around 90,000.
Yeah.
But same deal. I kept it. It went long on the private money. I called the private money every week and was like, this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm driving past the house. Like I'm taking, accountability of this. And I will sell other properties if I need to make you whole right now. Just let me know what you need. At the end of it, maybe a year and a half passes. It should have been a 6-month project. It might have been a little over a year, but it should have been around 6 months. So anyway, we finally do the refi. We get a tenant in there. Everything looks nice. But I could either flip it or do a burr. And I'm like, the original intent was do a burr. And then I'd bought it right, and I'd put all this extra cash in there, and I was like, I've been through this much. I don't want to sell it now. At least needs to start making money for me. I still have it today, and it's been an awesome property. Yeah, yes. It's like cash flow is $1,000 a month. And
lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah, so it was a good learning lesson. I definitely took a pause after that.
Sure.
I was like, I need to kind of like
decompress,
and, and
recalibrate.
Somehow the deal still worked out. Like it was a decent deal to like hold as a rental. And then now it's appreciated so much to where it would make sense to sell it if I wanted to.
Nice.
But yeah, it's crazy.
But I would say for those L's, if you would have never taken a chance, you wouldn't have gotten the W's, right?
100%,
the wins.
Yeah.
So to me, like that duplex that I have, I'm getting ready to do a 1031 out of that one.
Awesome.
And to me, that win in itself created about $250,000 of wealth where, look, it will more than offset this one bad deal.
Right.
You live and learn.
Yeah, and they say that time heals everything, right?
Always.
So like you give it enough time and it could end up being a decent deal.
Yeah.
You had mentioned a time in Puerto Rico with your mom.
Yeah.
That shifted part of your mindset into who you are today about grit.
Yep.
Can you share that story?
Yeah. So during this renovation with the quadplex in particular, I remember I was getting the phone calls, right? And I was visiting Puerto Rico. My dad hadn't been out there for 20 plus years. I paid for my parents, again, low income, right? So it was like all this expense paid, vacation, jeeping it around the entire island, not just a resort. So I'm like, I'm in a happy place, right? Full circle. I'm taking my sons, there's 3 generations. Like it's really heartfelt. Well, I'm on the beach and I'm getting this call, and I remember my mom's by the water. In fact, I have a picture of it on Instagram, and that's the reason why I took a picture. So I said, one day I'm going to look back at this moment, right? And it was that moment where, to me, I'm getting the call, and it's like, it was about the MEPs. Hey, the electrical is going to be this. And if you remember that time, materials were getting really expensive. And so I'm getting all these calls, negative, and I'm just thinking to myself, what am I going to do? And I look up and I remember my mom is sitting there. And again, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see exactly what picture, because to me, I did it more for myself, not the likes, not like,
for sure. Yeah.
To be honest, most of what I do, I could care less about that. To me, it was more so, I'm going to remember this moment. And that moment was, there are people like my mother, like my dad, who have left everything they know and everything they do and did. And you leave the language, you leave the culture, you leave what's comfortable to pick up, to start up again. So yet, hopefully, you create a better opportunity for the next generation, right? And to me, that moment I thought to myself, like, you know what, Ray? You are blessed to be in this position. Right. It's those opportunities that have allowed you to even be over here. Mm-hmm. And so at that moment, I chose not to be a victim anymore, but a victor, and said, you know what? Just grit up. Just get gritty, Ray. Like, you're going to get back. We're going to figure this out. It's going to suck. It's going to sting. It's just like we were talking a little bit earlier, right? It's like a squat. It's going to suck. You know this. Just do it anyway. And that was the choice I made, was just lean into it. Yep. It sucks. Like, there's a lot of this business that can suck and does suck. But there's enough beautiful things at the end of it where you're like, let's do it again.
That's awesome, because like we were talking about earlier, it's perception. Life is a series of decisions, and the successful people have that perception to where they can like understand that how to get out of these situations, and that, hey, it's not that bad. Let's freaking just get after it and let's do it. Let's make it happen. And that perception in your life experiences leading up to that point lets you know how blessed you are to be in this situation that you're in. And then you just drove through it, which I love.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Because that's a decision. That's a decision. You could be like, look, this is too hard. And that's it. That's the end of the road for what you're currently doing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people make that decision, right? And I kind of hate
the smart people probably do.
Yeah, you could argue that too. The people who are like sane decide not to put themselves through it. But I dislike the saying that failure is not an option, because it is absolutely an option. Like it's an option for everyone at any point in time, at any day, right? It's just the people that choose not to don't choose that as an option, right?
Yeah.
So you go on and you are a part of over 300 real estate transactions.
Sure.
I guess you're getting into like you're building rental portfolios. Are you still doing flips or wholesaling or anything like that? Or is it largely on the investment side of things? Mm-hmm. Is it largely rentals and flips at this point?
Yeah. So you're talking about at that time, immediately after, or you're talking about current time?
Yeah. Well, after that, like you go into all these different transitions.
So I got burnt from that burr, right? So that was a burr, took it down, ended up becoming a house hack, cool. But then we also owned this other property down in Petersburg, for example, and we had bought that many years ago. That was owned for $16,000. We took a loan out for a little over $80,000. It appraised for $216,000. Like we did very well on that one, and that cash flow was just under 7 something after paying a property management company. We're very happy, right?
Awesome.
They were able to take money out, tax free, like great win. Mm-hmm. So to me, the short answer is we still ended up doing what we were going to do no matter what.
Right.
It was just one of those things where like it throws a wrench into your plan,
right?
You thought you were going to be further into your wealth building journey, and so you take a step back. But again, I think you make a decision. Is this the end, or do we recalibrate? Point, aim, shoot again,
right.
and that's really where we ended up leading. So we still kept doing some burrs. We focused a lot more in fix and flips. But then I ended up noticing that in our market in particular, our market became strange where like people are just overpaying for properties, right? Yeah. Like numbers don't make sense. Mm-hmm. Even the agent side, I'm advising clients don't do this. Respectfully to some of my peers, just getting a sale, like numbers don't make sense, right? Mm-hmm. And numbers are numbers. You can't finagle the numbers, or you shouldn't, I should say. That's how you get in trouble. Right. And so what I ended up doing is shortly thereafter, I ended up really looking into ground up construction. And the reason why is because I said to myself, if I can build this, I can actually quantify, right? Land acquisition, like I know how to cold call, I know how to go direct. I know a lot of renovation already, especially because I kind of cut my teeth, unfortunately, at Quadplex. I have the contacts, but I don't know brand new. So then I said, well, what is the one thing I don't know? And that to me was how to put a foundation in, right? Like how to clear land and how to do footings and how to do a foundation. Outside of that, it's really that simple. So that immediately became the pivot into ground up.
Yeah.
And so now what we're doing is, as of yesterday, we got one of our building permits approved to go in Westover Hills, and that's going to be a good one. And so what we're really focused is we just been loading up on land.
Oh, cool.
To do ground up. And then I enjoy that so much, and I love investing so much that for many years when I had this meetup, people would ask me, let's partner, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing I've learned is you can't partner with everyone. I think of a partner as almost like my wife, right? Like I'm not going to be with everyone, right? Yeah. So I had to be select about who I'm in business with. But these are people who want to get into business. They don't know how to get into the business. Right. And I also don't want to do like this big mentorship thing. So I said, you know what? Why don't I do this? What if I just consult you and guide you through this process? I'm going to charge you a fee. I'm just going to monetize it. I'm going to want to see you still win. I'm going to act like a partner, like an operator, just at a flat fee.
Right.
And that's what I've pivoted into now, right? So now I have clients who are doing ground up. So for example, last week I met with a gentleman. He owns land. He called us for construction because in order to get really good at development, I felt that I needed to learn the construction side really well, which I have. So one of my partners is also Class A GC residential commercial. So last week I met with a gentleman, for example, and he says, hey, I want to renovate this duplex. And I'm going to go look at the duplex, but I've been working on entitlement, dealing with the city, county, setbacks, all these things. So I said, question, would you be open to doing a ground up development, like an apartment complex? And he goes, oh my gosh, you won't believe it. I just actually sold this parcel of land. If you know, it's on Hall Street going towards Route 1. They're about 5 stories high right now. He said, I just sold it for 1.1. I said, great. Silly question. Why didn't you keep it? And he goes, I just don't know how to.
Right.
So I said, great. So let me ask you a question. If I could do that for you, would you want to explore that? And please, and I told him, please be honest with me, because if not, I don't want to waste your time or my time. Right. His answer was yes, right? So now what I'm doing is helping people like him who sometimes, more times than not, have means, but they don't have time or they don't have knowledge. They're already operating several 7-figure businesses elsewhere. They just don't have the right person here.
Right.
And so I've become that conduit, that piece of the puzzle where I'll do it. I'll be the operator, interim operator, so you succeed, monetize it, whether through a partnership or a flat fee, and then you win, and then you love it, and then we get to do it all over again. Why? Because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Right.
So I think this journey has become something so much more now that's genuine fun, but also can pay you very well.
What would you say your main, because you have a lot of like integrations into what you're doing now.
We're very vertically integrated, yeah.
What are those integrations and kind of like what is your role in those integrations?
Yeah. So full disclaimer, right? Like I'm not a property manager. I'm not licensed for property management. Let me give all the disclaimers out there. On the agent side, this is a big thing. But so, starting with the property management, like I know how to pull comps, data analytics for rentals pretty decently. Yep. So we have property management side. We don't do property management. It's not our thing. But if someone says, hey, Ray, what do you think this is go for? I tell them full disclaimer. I'm like, look, I can help you market. I'm pretty sure we can help procure someone here for this amount. Right. And that's important because when I have a client telling me, hey, Ray, should I pick this property up because I'm in a DSCR? Well, you already know. You need to know these numbers, right? And respectively, I want them to be a competent individual. I need to know these numbers. And on the agent side, you really need to know these numbers. Right. So to me, it's if I'm going to be not just good but great at what I do, I need to know a lot.
It's your responsibility to know what that income's going to be if you're going to be advising that.
And I take that heavily on it, right? Because a lot of the people that have worked with me were people who were blue collar that knew how to do work with their hands but didn't actually have wealth. And I, for what it's worth, got them to believe that I can help you create wealth. So to me is the little bit of money that they did have, I would either make or break them, right? And I have to go and know that when I go lay in bed, like contractually, it's not me.
Right.
It's you.
Yeah.
Can you sleep with that?
Yeah,
and so to me, I took that, heavily, not lightly. Short answer is really, what are we doing? Like we know a lot of the property managers are vertically integrated with, I know our comps with data, with rentals. We know our construction costs. So sometimes we'll have clients that they'll purchase a property, call me, hey, Ray, can you rehab? So for example, I have a couple listings like in Churchill, Westover Hills, where we're doing rehab, but then I become the agent on the listing side, right? And I'm handling two things. And what are these people doing? They're doing what they do every day. Right. That makes them to 7 figures a year. So it's pretty dope that we get to now put 14 years vertically integrated, and now our goal is to create this flywheel effect of just like go as fast as possible, right? Just grow as fast as possible with the right people. So something you said earlier is about the right person, the right seat. Yeah. That's been me. It's like, who's the right person at the right seat at the right time? Right. And if the answer is this individual, great, let's do a plug and play. If the answer is no, we're moving too fast, I can't save you. Yeah, no, that's exactly right, and that's the way you have to operate, and that's the way you have to build your team, which is awesome, man. It's really cool to see from where you said you started to where you are now. It's just insane. Like just in our conversation so far is just awesome. What advice would you give for someone who wants to get started in real estate investing in particular today? Yeah, start. Just take action. Just take action, man. What's the first thing they should do? Register for this podcast, right? Like sign up, listen to every podcast, and then plug in, reach out, right? Yep. Because I think that's the big thing that holds everyone back is, and I think you've seen this, I've seen this for sure, is you'll go to the meetup and there's the people who say they're going to do a deal, and then you come back next year and the year after and the 100%. Year after, and they haven't done one thing. They're sitting in the same seat. Right? Yeah. And so to me is when I made a decision to go ground up, the way that I learned it was I had hired a contractor. He did a bad job. He failed the footing inspection. And so I immediately fired him because it wasn't just that he failed, it was the accountability and then the attitude. Not taking ownership. To me, after that quadplex, I don't play that. Yeah. So I fired him. And then after that, called up a GC that I know through a relationship. And I said, teach me everything I need to know. Right. And he said, here's how you do it. And then I had our in-house team do it, and then it passed. Right. And I was like, great. And then I got subbed for other GCs to do it in different municipalities, and then we passed. And that to me was my internal test to make sure did we just get lucky? Or if I can do it under other people in different counties and municipalities, then I was good enough to pass their tests.
Right.
Now I have confidence.
Right.
So to me, I always operated out of just take action, but then I test myself. So even if someone says, why don't you do this? It's because I'm not confident because I haven't done it, right? But once I do it, I'm all in.
Yeah.
So
what does having a network mean to you? Because it sounds like you have a lot of people now that you can call on, and people you can, that,
Sure.
you know, you have said earlier that a lot of people, when you had a meetup group, they wanted to contact you to partner. What is having a network? Because you've developed quite a network now, right? And so what has that done for you, and what do you think about your network? Like, how much do you put weight on the network?
yeah, so there's a guru in Richmond that says your net worth is your network, right? And that's 100% accurate, right? In the urban environment that I grew up in, low socioeconomic, my dad used to tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are, right? And that's the epitome of everything in life, is you will either rise or fall to the standard of those around you.
Yep.
So you know this, if you're around people who are high operators, there's an expectation that you go execute and you operate at a high level. And that's just the expectation. Like, that's the prerequisite to even get in the room. And if that's not you, I'm sorry, you walked into the wrong room, sir or ma'am. So to me, it's get around people who are at that level. But here's the thing, everyone says that, but how do you do it, right? Because the truth is, those people respect their time more than anything, including money. So then you have to question yourself, what can I provide that is of value to this person? Doesn't matter what you think is of value. What is of actual value to that individual? So what I've learned is that if you can figure out how to provide value to that individual, right, and do it at a high enough level, that person eventually will say, hey, obviously this person is not doing this for free, right? What do you want?
Right.
How can I reciprocate? And that's really the law of reciprocity. Yeah. And if that person doesn't, then maybe that person's not the right mentor, right? And that's okay too. Not everyone's gonna wanna help, but I realize that now. My network is everything. I know, for example, I had an issue with a septic tank, and we called several engineers, and then one of the engineer contacts said, Ray, you'll learn that this is a game of just calling enough engineers. And I was like, excuse me? And to me, it was like, but no, this is pretty written. It's pretty I's crossed T's. It's like black and white. He goes, no, there's enough engineers out there that you just have to call around, and you will figure out which one would be willing. The thing is, what you're asking is pretty difficult. So that's why they're just shooting you down, because there's easier money to be made.
Right.
And I was like, thanks for being honest.
Yeah.
And so I called enough, and then one was like, yeah, I'll get it in the next, 6 weeks.
Right.
That ended up not working out that way, but he did end up doing it, right? So things like that are the tidbits, which are, I think, the tail of the tape, as they call it in boxing, that no one tells you, that I think is crucial in life and in business.
Yeah, that's great. What's next for you in the next 3 to 5 years? What are you looking forward to?
Simply put, really, this year I'm so lasered in on just like finishing the projects that I've started, finishing the development, because like right now we're still the young buck, right? And that excites me, because for so long, like when you're like top achiever in certain things, cool, everyone knows you. When no one knows you, like you're the underdog.
Right.
That to me excites me again.
Right.
So it's exciting to be an underdog in this space. I finish what we have put out, product wise for us, our clients, development. We now are looking at tracts of land to do like full entitlement. I have people who will take it down, resell, take it down, build on it. And so to me, it's being able to collaborate and partner, right? Whether it be exclusive or non-exclusive, but with the right people on the right projects in different capacities. So to us, sometimes they'll bring us on just for construction. They're like, Ray, just construction. Some people say, hey, Ray, do you have people with the capital? Hey, Ray, maybe you help me just with the disposition of it, and the agent cut your commission, go from there. So I think there's so many different ways that we can do things. I'm so excited what the future holds. Really, I want to build an entire neighborhood built to rent. Like, that's what I've been
awesome.
gung-ho,
Yeah.
So right now, we started with info lots. Now we're doing special use permits. We're doing a little bit bigger stuff. And I know that's what we'll get to. It's just the right thing at the right time, right?
Yeah.
So right now, it's like, this is year one, we get to do. But, last year, quietly, we were loading up land. And so now we'll be able to put that out in the marketplace and then just grab that cash and then reinvest and just snowball it. And so I think that these economic times are pushing, unfortunately, more people to rent. So I think it's the right product at the right time,
Right.
fortunately and unfortunately, but I'm excited.
I know several people that have had goals to build rent subdivisions, and timing, you keep mentioning it, like the time has to be right. That's so true. Like I've seen people buy land, and there's a process you go through after you get, even under contract and land and everything. It could be years, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it's been like years out of the opportunity where now they've had to shift, and then now it's been, went from 90 houses, well now they can only do 40, and now they can only do, well now they can't do build to rent, they have to do this, and maybe they'll build them and sell them all one at a time, or maybe and so I've seen 3 or 4 really competent, super smart investors have wanted to build a subdivision of build to rent, and it just have fizzled out over the course of the 2-year project, largely because of
the timing
and economic situations that have impacted it, where when they first went under contract or LOI on the land, everything penciled great,
yep.
right? And then things change over time. So yeah, I think, especially just speaking about our market, I feel like I know other markets have done that, and like it's a pretty known thing, but like speaking of our market, I think it's got to be like the timing's got to be, you got to nail
it's crucial.
the timing.
It's everything.
Yeah.
I stay a lot in the affordable space for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I don't think that far out anymore, just because the market's the market.
It's hard. Yeah.
So to me, it's just lock in for a year, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of like fitness. You're so worried about when the abs kick in, where you're going to squat your first 500.
Yeah.
How about just squat your first, 265,
do
or
the next
315.
workout.
Yeah, just worry about the next workout, and that will show up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's just I've made things so simple now.
Yeah.
Just make that next call,
that's good.
move the next needle, and over time, all that will compound.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And that doesn't pigeonhole you to making a bad decision. Meaning, like, if you were so focused on 10 years from now, you're going to feel like you're giving up, or you're shifting, or you're lying to yourself, or you're selling yourself short, whatever, if you deviate from that goal.
100%.
And so that's why I do not enjoy making long-term goals.
Yeah.
I want to know what's best for me, my family, my company
Yes.
in the next year.
Yes.
And of course, we have a vision
Sure.
that we're going towards, and we have standards, and we have a culture, and we have values, and that drives us.
Yep.
So as long as we're driving in that same direction,
you have to have the vision.
yeah,
Absolutely.
As long as we're driving in that direction. But when you ask me, hey, what is your specific 3-year goal? Sorry, I can make something up to appease someone, but it's not going to be what's driving me.
And I think that's the thing about KPIs sometimes, and I've learned that about KPIs is, okay, I could put this number. The reality, though, of it is, let's say that number changes, and it will with the market shifts. So hypothetically, let's say that on the agent side, if I wanted to sell 1,000 units or even 100 units, great. But then the market shifts from a fractional perspective. What is 100 units today versus what it was 5 years ago? It's
Right.
different, right?
Right.
And it also takes a certain level now of incubation, acquisition, of nurture. Like, it's just that much harder. So if that was the go, and you didn't actually quantify for how much more difficult it's going to be, you're really setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
So.
Yeah, one of the most successful people in my network said, like, the ability to be successful over time is the ability to adapt and be
Yeah.
able to change and
Make
like
pivots.
get off whatever you were set on and go on something else without like too much conflict, right? You have a wife, you have kids, you have a fast growing business with different verticals. Especially given your background, what does legacy mean to you, and what do you think about when you think of the word legacy?
Yeah. So for me, I think, the last 2 years I've had business implode. I've had to regrow businesses, some expected, some not expected. So pivots have been something you just kind of, like Bruce Lee says, a little cheesy, right? Be like water. You just have to be fluid.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to just like move. And put it into sports. That's the epitome of sports, right? Like when I played basketball, you just pivot. You're always pivot. You're running, you're cutting. Like that's just sports. And you don't second guess it. So I think business is something similar. For me, legacy right now is, it's a little tough because it's a crazy world. With that being said, really, I want to be my biggest goal, more than investments. I just want to be like an amazing, God-loving, God-fearing individual that my kids can really like look back and go, hey, I want to emulate that, right? Secondly, after that, I want to be that individual where I do justice for my parents for having left everything they knew, because that wasn't easy. And then last but not least, be able to create a new foundation. And really, I tell my wife this, I see my life cycle almost like a sacrificial lamb, where it would be, hopefully, God willing, the iteration and the catalyst for my future generations, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not just me to go out there and just reap and enjoy. That's low level. The high level is to build something so much bigger, such a massive ramp that they will be like, damn, right? Yeah. And then hopefully they don't mess that up.
Right. Yeah, it's. I have a similar thought where if I can be the one to put in all the work and suffer, and I say suffer, it's enjoyable building something and building a team.
But it sucks at times.
It's hard work, and it's stressful and things like that.
Absolutely.
But if I can be the one to do that for the next few generations, not to give them a golden path to walk down by any means, but just to like be sure that they have the resources and tools they need to at least be successful.
Correct.
Like, that I'm more than willing to put in that sacrifice and that effort of my life when I could be going probably and having some more fun
100%.
doing other things, or at least being a little bit less stressed and a little bit more relaxed. But naturally I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to be less stressed or maybe a little less stressed, but not necessarily more relaxed. It's just not really a part of me. But if I can use that to my family's advantage of whatever is wrong with me that causes me to think this way, to kind of elevate the next couple of generations, it would just be so incredible to have. It would be an honor to be able to do that for my family.
Absolutely. Likewise. I love that.
How can people find you?
I'm old school. I do the Facebook, right? You can look me up, Raymond Rivera. And Instagram, it's Ray Rivera RVA. So they have questions, want to plug in, shoot me a DM, find me. My number's pretty public. They can shoot me a text, and then we can connect and go from there.
Awesome. Any final thoughts?
Oof, that's a good question, Steven. That's a touch. That's a curveball. Final thoughts. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm very appreciative for the opportunity to share, my wins and my losses. Hopefully that helps someone not fall as low as they potentially could. Outside of that, just lean in. Embrace the suck. That's really it. And just go from there.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast and learning your story and learning from your experiences. There's been some really good information that you've shared here. I appreciate what you're doing for your network and your family and the community around you. And I
Likewise.
Look forward to supporting your success over the years. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
The opportunity is mine. Thank you. Pleasure.